Every morning, before the world opens its eyes, before the noise begins, before your phone lights up with messages and the weight of the day comes crashing down, there's a sacred moment waiting for you. It's not on your calendar, it's not in your alarm clock. It's in your connection with heaven. Because when you open your eyes in the morning, the first thing you should say is not, "What do I have to do today?" but, "Allow Elijah my day with you." Dr. Myles Munroe once said, "Prayer is earthly license for heavenly interference." When you begin your day in prayer, you are not begging God to move. You are inviting heaven's agenda to rule your day. You are saying, "Father, orchestrate my steps, control my encounters, guide my thoughts, and let everything I touch today reflect your glory." Because listen to me, you were not designed to live by default. You were designed to live by divine direction. Prayer is not a religious ritual. It is divine alignment. Too many people wake up and think prayer is something you do because you're supposed to. They think it's a religious duty, a checklist item before breakfast. But prayer was never meant to be a performance. It's meant to be a connection. Prayer is not you trying to get God's attention. It's you tuning your heart to his frequency. It's like the signal on a radio. The signal is always there, but if you're not aligned, you get nothing but static. That's what happens when we try to live our day without prayer. We live in the noise, the confusion, the interference. But when you align through prayer, suddenly clarity comes. Suddenly peace returns. Suddenly you hear his direction saying, "This is the way, walk in it." You see, every morning when you open your eyes, you are entering a battlefield of distractions. The moment your phone lights up, your attention is under attack. The moment you open social media, your confidence is under attack. The moment you step out of bed, your purpose is under attack. And that's why you cannot afford to begin your day without divine alignment. Because prayer doesn't just prepare you for the battle, it positions you for victory before the fight even begins. When you pray, "Lord, align my day with you," you're not asking God to make things easy, you're asking him to make things effective. You're saying, "Lord, take control of my path, even if it means changing my plan." Imagine a car that's out of alignment. It can still move, but every time it tries to go straight, it pulls to the side. It takes more energy to stay on the road, and eventually the tires wear out. That's what life without prayer looks like. You're moving, but you're drifting. You're pushing hard, but you're fighting resistance that alignment could have fixed. Prayer is the mechanic that straightens your steering. It's the quiet moment where God realigns your purpose, your emotions, and your attitude. When your heart is aligned with heaven, your life starts running smoother on earth. You don't need a perfect plan. You need divine positioning. Because the greatest tragedy is not waking up tired, it's waking up misaligned. That's why Jesus himself would rise before dawn to pray. He wasn't doing it out of religion. He was doing it out of relationship. He was aligning his human schedule with heaven's strategy. Every miracle he performed, every person he healed, every word he spoke, all of it flowed from the alignment he established in prayer. He said, "I only do what I see the Father doing." That's the power of divine alignment. Your life stops being random and starts being strategic. Every morning you get two invitations, one from the world and one from God. The world says, "Rush, scroll, worry, compete." God says, "Be still and know that I am God." The world says, "You don't have time for prayer." God says, "You don't have time to fail without me." Prayer is not about spending time. It's about investing time. It's your spiritual briefing before the assignment begins. A general never sends his soldiers into battle without a strategy. So why would you step into your day without a divine download from heaven? You see, prayer doesn't change God, it changes you. It calibrates your perspective. It turns your complaints into clarity. It transforms fear into faith. It takes your "Why, God?" and turns it into "What are you doing through this, God?" When you pray, you stop asking for a lighter load and you start asking for stronger shoulders. You stop reacting emotionally and start responding spiritually. The storms may not stop, but your soul becomes unshakable because you're anchored in divine alignment. Look around. Some people seem calm in chaos, steady in storms, peaceful in pressure. That's not luck. That's alignment. They've learned that peace is not found in perfect circumstances. Peace is found in perfect connection. When your spirit is aligned, you don't crumble when plans change. You don't lose hope when people disappoint you. You don't panic when doors close. Because you know, every closed door is just divine redirection. Every delay is divine timing. Every detour is divine preparation. Alignment gives you the patience to wait and the wisdom to move when God says move. Think about your phone's GPS. When you take a wrong turn, it doesn't shout, "Your failure." It simply says, "Recalculating route." That's what divine alignment does. Prayer doesn't make you perfect. It keeps recalculating your purpose. It brings you back every time life pulls you off track. When you pray in the morning, you're letting heaven recalculate your route before you waste a day driving the wrong direction. Some people spend their mornings chasing control, but the wise spend it seeking connection. When you pray, "Lord, align my day with you," you are saying, "I don't want to live by pressure, I want to live by purpose. I don't want to follow my emotions, I want to follow your instruction." Because emotions are temporary, but alignment is eternal. Your feelings may change, but God's plan doesn't. That's why it's dangerous to start your day guided by your mood. Start it guided by your Maker. And hear me, when your heart is aligned with God, little things start carrying big meaning. The conversation you thought was random becomes a divine appointment. The person you helped without thinking becomes the key to your next opportunity. The moment you chose peace over anger becomes the seed for your breakthrough. That's alignment. That's when you realize, I didn't just have a good day, I walked in God's plan today. Prayer is not about spending hours begging for blessings. It's about spending moments sensing with heaven. It's saying, "Father, I trust you more than I trust my to-do list. I trust your direction more than my deadlines." Because when you're aligned, God will do in one moment what your hustle couldn't do in years. One word from heaven can change a lifetime of effort. That's why alignment is more powerful than ambition. Ambition says, "I can do it." Alignment says, "God, do it through me." So before you step out, before you answer calls, before you chase plans, pause and align. Because prayer is not what you do before work, it's what makes your work divine. Every morning before you face people, face your Maker. Before you talk to anyone else, talk to the one who orders your steps. Because the moment you align with him, everything else in your day starts to fall in place. Every step you take is a seed in your destiny. Every choice, every decision, every move you make, it all plants something in the soil of your future. The truth is, life is not built in a single moment. It's built in the accumulation of steps. Some people keep waiting for a big miracle, a sudden breakthrough, a dramatic change. But the miracle isn't in the big moment. It's in the small steps that lead to it. The direction you walk in today determines the destination you arrive at tomorrow. You are not just living days, you are sowing destiny. Think about a farmer. He doesn't just wake up and expect a harvest. He walks out into the field day after day, planting seeds with purpose. He knows that even though he can't see results immediately, something is happening beneath the surface. That's how life works. Every step you take, a decision to forgive, a moment of discipline, a choice to pray instead of panic, is a seed that heaven sees. You may not see the fruit yet, but the soil of time never forgets a seed of obedience. When you align your steps with God's plan, you're not just moving, you're investing in your destiny. Every act of kindness becomes a seed of favor. Every time you resist temptation, it becomes a seed of strength. Every time you choose faith over fear, it becomes a seed of victory. Nothing in your journey is wasted when your steps are aligned with divine purpose. Even your tears become water for your next season of growth. Sometimes people look at their lives and say, nothing is happening. I've been faithful, I've been praying, I've been trying to do the right thing, but I don't see change. But what they don't realize is that the seed doesn't grow on the surface. It grows underground first. Roots have to form before fruit can appear. God is doing something beneath the soil of your life right now. He's preparing you for what you've been praying for. You might not see it yet, but every step you take in faith is preparing the foundation for your future harvest. Every morning when you wake up and say, Lord, order my steps, you are saying, Lord, plant me in your purpose. Because when your steps are directed by God, you stop chasing things and start attracting them. You stop worrying about opportunities because the right ones find you when you're walking in alignment. Some people waste their energy running after things that were never meant for them, while others simply walk in obedience and blessings begin to follow their footsteps. When your steps are in sync with God, even your smallest movement has meaning. Think about David. He didn't become king overnight. He was just a shepherd boy delivering bread to his brothers. But that small step of obedience led him to Goliath. That one step introduced him to the king's court. That one act of service became the seed for his royal destiny. He wasn't chasing a crown. He was just walking faithfully. Every step of obedience you take, even when it feels small or unseen, is preparing you for something greater than you can imagine. Many people want success, but they don't want steps. They want harvest, but not the habit of sowing. They want results without the routine of responsibility. But destiny doesn't come to those who wait passively. It comes to those who walk purposely. Every conversation you have, every place you go, every habit you form, it's all shaping the person you're becoming. You can't take careless steps and expect a purposeful destination. The quality of your decisions determines the direction of your destiny. Picture a builder constructing a skyscraper. Before anything rises above the ground, he spends months digging deep, laying a foundation. That's how destiny works. Every small, consistent step is like another brick in your foundation. You may not see the height yet, but depth always comes before display. The higher God wants to take you, the deeper He'll make you go. That's why some seasons feel silent, not because God is absent, but because He's strengthening your roots before revealing your fruit. When you understand that every step is a seed, you start walking differently. You stop wasting time. You stop living carelessly. You start treating every day as divine. Because one small decision can shift an entire future. One word of encouragement can change someone's destiny. One prayer can unlock years of favor. One moment of obedience can reroute a lifetime of wandering. That's the power of divine alignment. Your steps are not random, they're prophetic. Every time you walk by faith instead of sight, you are sowing seeds into a harvest that heaven is already preparing. You may not see how it all fits now, but when you look back, you'll realize every step mattered. That closed door that disappointed you, it was a seed of redirection. That betrayal that broke you, it was a seed of transformation. That delay that frustrated you, it was a seed of preparation. Nothing is wasted when you're walking in divine purpose. So don't despise small steps. Don't underestimate the power of consistency. Success is not in the size of your leap, it's in the faithfulness of your stride. Every step you take with integrity, every step you take with prayer, every step you take with patience is building the future you're praying for. The seed you plant today will grow into the success you'll celebrate tomorrow. Because destiny is not built in a day, it's built daily. And maybe right now your path looks ordinary. You're going to work, taking care of family, doing what feels routine. But don't be fooled. Ordinary obedience is where extraordinary purpose begins. God takes small steps and turns them into divine stories. He takes simple acts and turns them into eternal impact. So keep walking, keep sowing. Keep believing that every step you take, no matter how small, carries the power to shape your destiny forever. God doesn't bless business, He blesses obedience. In this world, everyone is running, everyone is hustling, everyone is busy trying to build, to earn, to prove something. The culture of this generation glorifies movement. People post pictures of their grind, their long hours, their sleepless nights, and call it success. But business doesn't always mean progress. You can run fast in the wrong direction and end up further away from where you were supposed to be. You can work hard on something God never asked you to do and wonder why it's not growing. It's not that you're lazy, it's that you're not aligned. God doesn't reward motion, He rewards mission. He doesn't anoint your schedule, He anoints your submission. You can be active and still be ineffective. You can be exhausted and still be empty. Some people are busy doing things God never told them to do, and then they wonder why they're burned out. Business is not a badge of honor. It's often a symptom of misplaced priorities. We think that the more we do, the more we prove our worth. But heaven doesn't operate on your workload. It operates on your willingness. God never said, "Well done, my busy servant." He said, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." Faithfulness, not business, gets heaven's attention. Imagine Martha in the Bible running around, cooking, cleaning, serving, trying to make everything perfect for Jesus. She was busy for God, but not with God. Meanwhile, Mary sat at his feet, listening to his words. Jesus didn't rebuke Martha for working. He corrected her for worrying. He said, "Martha, you are troubled about many things, but one thing is needful. That one thing is obedience, to sit, to listen, to follow the voice driven to do something for God, that we forget to be still before Him." But the truth is, God would rather have your attention than your activity. He would rather have your heart than your hustle. You can build an empire and still miss the essence of why you were created. The question isn't, how much are you doing? The question is, are you doing what God asked you to do? Think about Jonah. He was a prophet, chosen and anointed, but he decided to run from God's command. He took a journey of his own, full of motion, full of movement, but all of it was in the wrong direction. The storm didn't come because he was lazy. It came because he was out of alignment. You see, disobedience creates storms, but obedience calms them. Some storms in life aren't from the devil. They're from decisions made outside of God's will. Jonah was busy traveling, but he wasn't productive spiritually. He was moving fast, but far from purpose. That's what happens when we choose business over obedience. We lose peace, we lose clarity, and we waste energy fighting currents we were never meant to sail through. Many people confuse movement with meaning, but motion without mission is madness. You can be running in circles and think you're moving forward. You can be climbing a ladder only to realize it's leaning against the wrong wall. Business can make you look successful, but obedience will make you significant. God doesn't measure success by how many things you've done, but by how well you've done the thing He told you to do. One act of obedience can accomplish more than years of human effort. Look at Abraham. He wasn't busy chasing every opportunity. He was obedient to one instruction: go to the land I will show you. That one step of obedience changed the history of nations. Noah wasn't out there trying to build 10 projects at once. He focused on one command: build the ark. Moses wasn't trying to be a hero in Egypt. He was called to lead God's people. Every great move of God began not with business, but with obedience. Obedience is heaven's trigger for miracles. Business feeds the ego, but obedience feeds the spirit. The ego says, "Look at what I've done." The spirit says, "Look at what God has done through me." There's a difference between working for God and working with God. When you work for Him without listening to Him, you'll burn out. But when you work with Him in obedience, grace carries you. That's why some people are tired all the time. Not because they're doing too much, but because they're doing too much without Him. The Bible says, "Unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain who build it." You can build it faster, taller, stronger. But if it's not built on obedience, it won't stand when the winds blow. Imagine a man rowing a boat against the current with all his strength. His arms ache, his hands blister, he's sweating, shouting, pushing, but he's going nowhere. Then someone tells him, Turn around, the wind is with you. That's what obedience does. It turns you in the direction of divine flow. When you obey, you stop striving and start gliding. You stop forcing doors open and start walking through the ones God already unlocked. The weight doesn't leave, but the grace increases. You start moving with heaven's rhythm, not against it. And business might make you feel important, but obedience makes you impactful. The world praises multitasking. Heaven rewards mastering your assignment. Some people say, I'm doing everything I can. And that's the problem. They're doing everything, not the right thing. You can't chase 10 directions and expect to reach destiny. Focused obedience will take you farther than frantic activity ever will. God doesn't bless scattered energy. He blesses specific instruction. Think about Peter. He fished all night and caught nothing. He was experienced, skilled, hardworking, yet empty-handed. Then Jesus said one simple thing: cast your net on the right side. One act of obedience brought a harvest greater than all his effort. That's what happens when you stop relying on sweat and start relying on surrender. God can do in one moment of obedience what you couldn't achieve in a lifetime of business. Sometimes obedience looks like slowing down. Sometimes it looks like saying no. Sometimes it means walking away from opportunities that look good but aren't God. It takes faith to pause when everyone else is running. But in stillness, you hear strategy. In silence, you receive strength. Don't mistake constant motion for divine momentum. True progress is not how fast you move, but how accurately you follow. Obedience is the difference between activity and anointing. Activity fills your schedule, anointing fulfills your purpose. You can work yourself to exhaustion and still not move the kingdom 1 inch. But one moment of spirit, led obedience can transform lives, shift nations, and rewrite futures. That's why prayer and obedience go hand in hand. You pray to receive direction, and you obey to see manifestation. So every morning when you rise, ask yourself, am I busy or am I obedient? Because business may impress people, but obedience pleases God. You can do 1,000 things and still miss the one thing that matters most: His will. It's not about how much you can handle, it's about how much you can surrender. When you start walking in obedience, you realize that success is not about doing more, but about doing what matters, what God has ordained for you in this exact season of your life. When you align with God, He turns ordinary moments into divine encounters. You begin to see that nothing in your life is random. Every person you meet, every conversation you have, every challenge you face carries a divine fingerprint. Life starts to unfold like a tapestry, and while you may only see the threads up close, God sees the entire design. The moments that seem small, routine, and uneventful are often the places where heaven is working behind the scenes. The truth is, God hides greatness in ordinary places. He hides divine appointments in everyday experiences. When you walk in alignment with Him, even your normal day becomes a supernatural journey. Think about Moses. He wasn't on a holy mountain or in a temple when God appeared to him. He was simply tending sheep in the desert, doing the same thing he had done for years. It was an ordinary day, an ordinary job, an ordinary walk, until he noticed a bush burning, but not consumed. That ordinary bush became the doorway to his divine calling. That's how God works. When you are aligned, He takes what seems common and breathes His purpose into it. A job becomes a ministry. A conversation becomes a revelation. A desert becomes a destiny. Sometimes we keep waiting for big moments, the miracle, the promotion, the breakthrough. But God is saying, I'm already in the small ones. When you are aligned with Him, you don't have to chase divine encounters. They start chasing you. Every step you take becomes orchestrated by heaven. The person you sit next to on a bus could be the answer to your prayer. The delay at the airport could save your life. The conversation that felt random could shift your destiny. God's alignment means that even the interruptions in your schedule are part of His strategy. When you are out of alignment, you see inconvenience. But when you are aligned, you see intention. You stop asking, why did this happen? And start saying, Lord, what are you trying to show me through this? Because every event, every challenge, every delay carries a divine message for those who are tuned into heaven's frequency. You may think you're just walking into a regular day, but heaven has already written a script for it. God doesn't waste moments, he uses them. Think about Joseph, sold by his brothers, thrown into prison, forgotten by people, but never forgotten by God. To others, his life looked like a tragedy, a series of unfortunate events. But in alignment with God, every betrayal was a bridge, every setback was a setup. When he stood before Pharaoh and became second in command of Egypt, he looked back and realized that none of it was random. Every ordinary moment had divine purpose attached to it. That's what alignment does. It turns pain into purpose and disappointment into destiny. When you walk in alignment, even small acts of obedience become divine keys. You might feel like you're just helping someone, just saying a kind word, just praying for a friend. But heaven sees those acts as assignments. One simple act of kindness can ripple through eternity. One moment of faith can open doors you didn't even know existed. When your life is aligned, your presence becomes powerful because you carry divine purpose wherever you go. Think about the woman at the well. She was just going to get water, an ordinary task in an ordinary day. But that encounter changed her life forever. Jesus was waiting there, turning a daily routine into a divine revelation. That's the power of alignment. You may think you're doing something mundane, but God can transform it into a moment of transformation. What you see as normal, he sees as supernatural. What you call routine, he calls divine timing. The truth is, God never wastes a moment. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment has divine potential when you're walking with him. Sometimes the people who annoy you are the very ones meant to teach you patience. Sometimes the job you don't like is shaping your character for something greater. Sometimes the door that didn't open is saving you from destruction. When your heart is aligned with God, you stop fighting his process and start trusting his plan. Alignment doesn't mean everything goes perfectly. It means everything goes purposefully. When you're in tune with heaven, even chaos carries meaning. You start to see that nothing just happens, everything happens for something. The people you lost, the opportunities that slipped away, the things that didn't make sense, they all weave together in God's design. You stop complaining about what didn't work and start thanking God for what he's working through it. Every great story in the Bible was built on ordinary moments turned divine. David was delivering bread when he found Goliath. Ruth was gathering leftovers when she found bows. Peter was cleaning his nets when Jesus called him to change the world. None of them knew that day would change everything. That's the mystery of alignment. God disguises destiny in daily routines. When you walk in step with him, your every move becomes sacred ground. It's not about doing extraordinary things. It's about doing ordinary things with an extraordinary awareness of God's presence. When you're aligned, your morning commute becomes a conversation with heaven. Your workplace becomes a mission field. Your home becomes a sanctuary. You begin to see God not just in the church, but in the chaos, in the traffic, in the silence, in the laughter, in the pain. You realize he's not a Sunday experience. He's an everyday encounter. When you are aligned with God, you carry an atmosphere that transforms every environment you enter. You may not even realize it, but your peace changes rooms, your words shift atmospheres, your kindness unlocks hearts. Divine alignment means you walk under heaven's authority, and wherever you step, heaven steps with you. That's why you can't underestimate your presence in any space. Because God is using you as his vessel in moments you don't even recognize. Sometimes you'll realize later that what felt like an interruption was actually an introduction. The delay that frustrated you was the detour that saved you. The door that closed was God's way of keeping you aligned with something greater. Every moment you live in obedience becomes part of a divine puzzle. And one day, it all makes sense. You'll look back and realize that God was not just in the miracles. He was in the moments. And now, as we come to the end of this message, let these words echo in your soul. You are not a mistake. You are a masterpiece in motion. Every step you've taken, every tear you've shed, every mountain you've climbed was never wasted. God was shaping you, stretching you, preparing you for the moment when your purpose would collide with your potential. You see, life doesn't always give us what we expect, but it always gives us what we need to grow. Every pain was a teacher, every loss was a lesson, and every delay was divine protection. You are not behind schedule. You are right on heaven's timing. The truth is, storms don't break you when you're aligned with God, they build you. Fire doesn't destroy you, it refines you. Pressure doesn't crush you, it reveals what's inside you. Diamonds are formed in darkness, and champions are born in challenges. So don't curse your storm, thank God for it. Because one day you'll stand on the other side and say, that's why it had to happen. That's why I had to go through it. What broke you yesterday will build you tomorrow. What hurt you once will heal others through you later. Listen, your past does not define you. It prepares you. Your mistakes are not your identity. They are your education. Failure is not final until you stop trying. As Les Brown said, it's not over until I win. So rise up. Dust off the shame, wipe your tears, and straighten your crown. You were not made to live in fear or doubt. You were made to walk in faith and fire. God did not create you to merely survive. He created you to thrive. You were designed for dominion, built for greatness, and born for impact. Every breath you take is proof that God is not done with you yet. You still have a chapter left to write, a dream left to chase, a destiny left to fulfill. So stop saying, maybe someday. Make that someday today. The clock of destiny is ticking, and your time is now. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, because the perfect moment will never come. It becomes perfect when you step into it with courage. There's a warrior inside you that life has been trying to bury under doubt, fear, and disappointment. But hear me, it's time to resurrect that warrior. It's time to roar louder than your fear. It's time to rise stronger than your pain. The greatest comeback stories are written by those who refused to quit when life hit them hardest. Muhammad Ali once said, I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion. That's the mindset of alignment, not comfort, but calling not ease, but endurance. You may have been knocked down, but you are not knocked out. You may have walked through fire, but you came out gold. You may have faced rejection, but remember, rejection is just redirection from God. Sometimes He closes doors because you're meant to walk through gates. Sometimes He takes people out of your life because He's clearing your path for something greater. Stop mourning what you lost and start preparing for what's coming. The best is not behind you. It's waiting ahead. And when fear whispers, you can't let faith roar back. Watch me. When the world says, you're done, let God say, I'm just getting started. Because as long as there's breath in your lungs, there's purpose in your soul. As long as your heart is beating, heaven still has a plan. You are not too late, too broken, or too far gone. You are just one decision away from transformation. So walk out of this moment with your head high and your heart on fire. Let your scars remind you not of pain, but of power. Let your story become someone else's survival guide. Speak like victory, move like destiny, and live like you already won, because with God on your side, you have. Remember these words, you were born to make history, not excuses. You were created to lead, not to fear. You are the light that darkness can't extinguish, the storm that doubt can't silence, and the voice that failure can't shut down. Don't wait for permission. Heaven already approved you. The time is now. The world is waiting. Step forward, align your life, and let the fire within you light up every path before you.